Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel. I'm your host, Dylan Clemons. Here with me is Joe Bond, founder of Fantasy Six Pack. Today, we are unveiling his top 10 tight end rankings. But before we jump right into that, I want to remind you guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And then head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans. Become an all-access member for just $9.99 a month. You get access to our award-winning rankings, to our draft cheat sheets, access to our Discord, and access to our DFS projections and stacking tool. The best part of the Discord is you get direct access to our entire F6P staff, whether it be for fantasy baseball, fantasy football. We're there for you anytime you have a question. So that's fantasy6pack.net/plans. Plus, we have a 2-week free trial happening right now when you sign up. But without further ado, Joe, let's jump right into your top 10 tight ends. And looking at your rankings, I do like that this guy sneaked into your top 10s. He's one of my later favorite tight ends, and that's Mr. Jake Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys. To be honest with you, you can make a case that he could be the second target getter in this offense. Joe, how do you feel about Ferguson heading into this season?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why he pops in here. You have to like what you saw last year, 102 targets in that Dallas offense. We know they're going to rely on the passing game. The running game is just not there, as we've mentioned in many of the other shows that we've done here, especially the wide receivers and the quarterback one. Like, it's just 102 targets. It's basically CeeDee Lamb. And then he's battling with what's his name? Brandon Cooks, for second targets there. Like, I actually think we're going to see more targets out of him. And he's a good red zone threat too. So you got to like that as well. He saw 25 targets inside the red zone last year, led all tight ends. Number. So, in a PPR format, you gotta get him in your top 10. And again, when you get to the bottom of the tight end list here, it's going to be a rocky road. It's going to be a little bit of ups and downs. This is how the tight end position works. But Jake Ferguson is somebody that I definitely like and has, each week has potential to top 3, tight end finish possibilities. So,
absolutely. And we could definitely see this offense throwing a lot. So it's definitely an offense that you want a piece of.
Absolutely.
Next guy, Joe, your tight end 9. This is someone who I'm actually a little bit weary of heading into the season, and that's David Njoku, who had a great end of the year with his backup quarterbacks play, Joe Flacco. With Deshaun Watson coming back, I'm a little worried. How do you feel about Njoku?
Yeah, I hear the concern, but as far as being inside the top 10, I have no doubt here. I mean, we're talking about Ferguson being inside, 102 targets. Njoku saw 123. This offense went through, obviously, Amari Cooper, a little bit of Elijah Moore, and then it's David Njoku. I mean, they don't really have a pass catching back, right? So you don't have to worry about that as much. I know, they keep bringing back, Kareem Hunt, but he's not the pass catching back he used to be, right? So that's out the window, right? And it is what it is. But Njoku's just a target hog here. So that's why he comes in the top 10. A little bit touchdown dependent each week. Only saw 6. There's a slew of tight ends last year that were 6, 5 touchdowns, and then we've got the guy up top with 10. I'll mention him later. We all know who he is, though. But so saying he's touchdown dependent, a lot of them were. They all just kind of like grouped in there. So the separator at this point is targets and receptions, and Watson, who knows, right? Is he going to stay healthy? Whatever. I still think he's a solid enough quarterback to get David Njoku the ball. And, we're going to see, I don't think we're going to see that run game be as effective, even if Nick Chubb is back this season. I just don't think we're going to see Nick Chubb be Nick Chubb. So they're going to have to rely on this pass game a little bit more. And so that's why Njoku is safely inside my top 10.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. It was definitely great to see Njoku finally break out. He's an athletic guy, and we've been waiting for it to happen. I hope it continues. Like I said, I'm just a little weary on that one. Next guy. Oh, we're doing it to ourselves again, Joe. That's Kyle Pitts. Tight end 8. Definite quarterback upgrade with Kirk Cousins coming in, and you'd like to think an offensive upgrade with the new staff coming in as well. Joe, how you feel about Kyle Pitts?
Cautiously optimistic. Is that the right word?
I
Yes.
think so. Yeah.
So I want to believe Kyle Pitts can finally be what we all thought he could be. Look, you're talking one of, if not the most athletic tight end in all of football. The dude is a matchup nightmare when he gets on a linebacker. He's just super, super talented. The problem has been consistency. And yes, a lot of it is on the quarterback. So getting the upgrade to Kirk Cousins is going to be tremendous for him. But I know there will be people that have him inside top 5. And maybe if we see a lot of good reports coming out of camp, I bump him up a spot or 2. I don't think I'm moving him up that high. There's just too many guys up top who have been consistent or have greatly outperformed Kyle Pitts in his entire career. So I'm not ready to bump him up that high. But yes, the ceiling has been risen for him for sure. And hopefully the floor has been moved up as well, which is why I'm more confident putting him in my top 10 than I even was last year. And I was super reluctant last year, to be honest with you. And like, I wish I listened to myself and just, you kind of let the noise sometimes get to you, even as a ranker. You're like, but still Kyle Pitts, he's still good, blah, blah, blah. They're going to retool this offense around him. No, just nope, stop. It didn't happen. But this is a different offense, a different coaching staff. Kyle Pitts is hopefully going to get rolling this year, along with everybody else there for Atlanta. And I'm buying in a little bit. I'm hoping to have, if I don't get one of the early tight ends, I'm hoping I can snag a Kyle Pitts in 1 or 2 of my leagues this year. Just kind of feel like having some fun. See what happens.
Absolutely. I was in on Kyle Pitts the last 2 years, so I'm not going to run away from him this year. So I'm still in on him.
My thing is I almost guarantee you're not going to get him at tight end 8 in any leagues. Somebody likes him more than I do. So if you do, you're going to have to go get him a little bit earlier. So
that's fair. Definitely. Moving on to the next guy, Joe, your tight end 7, a guy, he broke out as well. And that's Evan Engram, finishing as the tight end 4 in points per game last year. You got him down a little bit, Joe, at tight end 7 now. Are you down on him a bit, or is it just with the other guys ahead of him, they're just much better opportunity?
It's more just the other guys ahead of him. Evan Engram is good. Look, he led all tight ends last year with 143 targets. About, what am I doing the math right here? Great. 16 more than the next best, which was TJ Hawkinson. And then the next was Njoku at 123. I don't know if we're going to see that many targets again, although getting rid of Ridley and bringing in a rookie and, getting rid of Zay Jones maybe opens up more, that possibility to happen again. The thing that really held him back was touchdowns. He didn't score for, my gosh, I forget what week he finally scored last year. It was really late, it felt like. It was week. Where did he score? He didn't score until week 13. He scored week 13, 2 in week 14, and then down again until week 18. So not helping fantasy managers for the most part in week 18. But I think we're going to see a little less targets, maybe a few more touchdowns.
That makes sense. Yep.
You have to hope that this offense as a whole can score more points over the whole course of the season. Really, it kind of fell flat there for a little while. But with that being said, I just think there's enough talent ahead of him that kind of suppresses him down to number 7. But could he finish number 5, number 6? Absolutely, with the number of targets he's going to see in a PPR format, 100%.
Yeah, agreed there. Joe, the next guy here, your tight end 6, George Kittle. Probably one of the most fun tight ends to watch on the field. He's great being interviewed as well. And he's attached to a really good team and a good offense. A lot of mouths to feed in San Francisco. How are you feeling about George Kittle? Is he someone you're interested in targeting at all, or no?
George Kittle, how do I put this? Is remember Amari Cooper when he was with Dallas?
Yes.
Boom bust, disappears. That's George Kittle, right? But it's not really George Kittle's fault. Like Amari Cooper was just like, yeah, I don't feel like playing today. I don't know. It was weird with him. George Kittle, it's game plan, right?
Yep, he gets caught up doing other
stuff. He gets blocking. It's that kind of stuff. The games that George Kittle is good, I mean, wow. He's good. Like tight end 1, easily good.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking 23, 20, 22, 16, 27, 19 fantasy points from a tight end. But dude, those weeks where he doesn't show up and he doesn't get game planned into the passing offense, 1.9, 1.1, 4.9.
Yep.
Brutal. Just brutal. And we also know that he has injury history as well. Now, he did play every single game last year except for week 18. When everybody for the Niners sat, but so that's a good sign. But other seasons he has sat multiple games. With that said, if you're going for overall season, George Kittle is going to be in the conversation. Consistency wise, it's gonna be a rough road, and you're gonna be hurting. You just hope he comes on strong when you need him. And you hope he falls flat when you didn't need him. Like that's the game you have to play with Kittle. You're probably not swapping him out because we can just go off any single week, right? He is probably my favorite tight end to watch. He's just so fun. He's so charismatic, right? But yeah, it's pretty maddening to watch. Now, the Brandon Ayuk or Debo possibility of a trade could really open things up for Kittle for sure.
I'm glad you brought that up.
So there's a little bit of hope here, right? I don't think I would move him in on a top 5 because I still think there's going to be a lot of times where he is just asked to block a lot more. With CMC there, man, like that's what he's going to end up doing. And so there's that. I mean, but look, when you look at it at the end of the day, even though he only had 90 targets last year, he was the only tight end to go over 1,000 yards. That's pretty crazy, man. Like, unreal talent.
So efficient.
I mean, yards after the catch for him is off the charts as far as a tight end. He's just so good with the ball in his hands, and he's physical, man. So like, you gotta like him.
Yeah, absolutely. This next guy, though, cracking into your top 5, Joe, is very, very interesting, and that's Dalton Kincaid. With all these vacated targets coming out of Buffalo, I could absolutely see him having a top 5 value, and you obviously do as well. So you're feeling pretty high on Dalton Kincaid heading into the season?
I like Dalton Kincaid a lot. As you said, vacated targets. I'm not a big vacated targets guy, but there are certain cases where it's the truth. And this is one of them. They brought in a lot of unproven guys, right? And they've got guys left over from last year that are also unproven. So I don't really know who Josh Allen trusts. And Dalton Kincaid is one of them. The weeks that Dalton Kincaid blew up, right? We all know he was tight end 1 material. I had him in one of my leagues and was reaping the benefits of him scoring 15, 17, 16, 16, 10. And then, and then, things went backwards for him because, sorry, I have a little cold because Dawson Knox came back from his injury and he just didn't see the field as much. Not that Dawson Knox was doing a whole lot, but like it really changed the way that the offense ran. And so I think this year, though, they're gonna. I would think that they're going to make a concerted effort to get Kincaid the ball more. he's, as you could tell, he was very talented. And I mean, I think if Kincaid had been put in the same situation as Sam LaPorta, right? Given the opportunity, we could have been talking about Kincaid in the same breath that we're talking about LaPorta this year. But maybe not. So he's got that upside.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing that does worry me is maybe the entire Buffalo Bills offense does take a semi-step back, and maybe they're not scoring and moving the ball as much. So maybe, that's the one worry, but I think Kincaid overall is going to be just fine.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. When you're battling for targets with like Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakur, Chase Claypool, I know is in that room. They did draft Keon Coleman, but you want tight ends. If you're going to take a tight end early, you want guys who have the chance to lead their team in targets, and Dalton Kincaid can lead the Bills in targets this year. Looking at this next guy, Joe, Trey McBride, absolutely fantastic for you down the back half of your fantasy seasons last year. And he's catapulted into your tight end 4. Still high on Trey McBride, even with the acquisition of Marvin Harrison. Hell, maybe even that frees him up to be even better.
I think I don't think having an extra elite talent on the field is really detrimental to Trey McBride. If anything, as you're saying, it helps him. Maybe it cuts down on his targets a little bit, but it's going to probably open him up a little bit more for more touchdowns, for more open field, give him space to where he's not getting bracketed as much. I mean, let's be real. There wasn't really a whole lot else there last year for Kyler Murray or whoever to throw the ball to. And so, we saw him and Kyler Murray just click almost instantly. It was incredible. So I really like Trey McBride. His end of the season from week 8 on, just incredible. Week 8 on, he was tight end 2, averaging 15.2 points a game. That's pretty damn good. So give me that all day, man. Again, there's some dudes ahead of him that just, they just maybe name values just keeping them higher at this point, but there's a reason for it. These guys are legit and the elite of the elite.
Yeah, I tend to agree there. Looking at your next guy, Joe, at tight end 3, I think you can make a case that McBride could slide in over him. Maybe it's a little recency bias with Mark Andrews dealing with injuries last year. You feel like he's going to have a bounce back year?
Yeah. I mean, look, we're talking the tight end 4 overall for the first 11 weeks of the season. And if you get rid of the first week when he didn't play, Mark Andrews is tight end 3. So from weeks 2 through 11, when he was healthy, and honestly, he got hurt in the middle of week 11. So, he was tight end 3. This guy is, in my opinion, the first target for Lamar Jackson. I mean, there's just not, I don't love the receiving core, for Baltimore. Odell, he's not going to be there anymore. It's
Zay Flowers, Bateman.
Yeah, I mean, Zay Flowers is fine, but he's a slot guy for the most part, a little downfield guy. Bateman, I don't know. He's never really super excited me. There's just not a lot there. So it really comes down to Mark Andrews and Lamar just clicking, man. And they are good. They are very good together. So, Mark Andrews is as safe as it can get as far as tight ends. He's just got to stay on the field at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm a little weary on him. I'm a little bit higher on Zay Flowers, it seems, than you are. But I definitely see your points, and I can definitely see him finishing in the top 3 once again. Your next guy, though, Joe, I mean, everybody loves this guy now, and that's Sam LaPorta in Detroit. Some people even have him in their number 1 spot. You haven't taken the leap quite yet. But how do you feel about Sam LaPorta heading into this season while he is battling targets with Amon-Ra St. Brown and others? So
the reason why I have Sam LaPorta too, and obviously we know Travis Kelce is going to be my number one, so I'm just going to put him on the board. Travis Kelce is number one here, but the reason why I've got Sam LaPorta too is exactly what you just said, right? He's battling a bit more target competition here, right? I know we saw 120 targets last year. That is incredible. 10 touchdowns, man. Like, whew. That's I don't know how repeatable that is. So bring that down a little bit, right? He's kind of right in the mix there with Kelce and change for that tight end one spot there. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about Amon-Ra, right? Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to get a lot of his work out of the passing game too. There's a lot of good talk about Jameson Williams. There's just a slew of people here. And Sam LaPorta is super talented. Don't get me wrong. And absolutely, if you take him over Travis Kelce, I wouldn't really bat an eye on it. But it's just one of those things where I just like Travis Kelce slightly more still.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm more in on Travis Kelce as well. He was banged up, Joe, most of last year.
He was. And it's almost like he was saving himself a little bit for the playoffs and really came on strong finally, there in the playoffs, had a really good run there. And Travis Kelce was a little bit frustrating to roster. Like, he didn't do Travis Kelce things. It seems to happen, right? I mean, like, I remember being blasted on Twitter because I said, don't take Kelce in the first round. And everybody's like, what are you talking about?
Me too.
And I'm like, I'm just not doing it. Like, I'm just not doing it, and I won't take a Kelce or a LaPorta in the first or even probably second round. Like, I'm waiting. I know we say this, and we talked about this before even recording this. We say this every year, right? Oh, there's a lot of depth at the tight end position, but this is like legit, like the one time where I'm going, holy cow. I mean, every single one of these guys is, upwards in the 90 to 100 target range. When was the last time we saw that?
I know. I agree. Yep. Your top 10 is right around that cutoff point for sure. And then you even got guys at tight end 12 who I know is coming back from injury and might be a little delayed. It's TJ Hockenson and Dallas Goedert, two guys who didn't quite make your top 10, Joe.
I mean, I'm looking at 2022, right? I'm talking like tight end 10, 12 was in like 70, 80 target range.
Yeah.
We're talking another 10, 15 targets for this group. And it's constantly rising. We're seeing these offensive coordinators figure out ways to get these super athletic tight ends, the ball. And you're right. TJ Hockenson, if I knew he was healthy and, even close to 100%, he'd be in this top 10 for sure. He'd be tight end 3, 4 as well. Like, he'd be right there. That's where he belongs. So it's a good run for tight ends right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, just to piggyback what you said earlier about not wanting to take these two in the first of 2 rounds, you have Travis Kelce ranked 28th and Sam LaPorta ranked 32. So that lines up. You're more comfortable taking them in the 3rd round. And I absolutely agree with you there, man, because the downside of Travis Kelce last year, like you said, was where you drafted him. You had to draft him in the 1st round, and he just was not giving you that positional value like he was last year. Now, if you're getting him in the 3rd round, that's different.
People looked at it, and I understood it. People looked at 2022, and they saw 316 PPR points, second best with TJ Hockenson at 215. And you're going, man, it's such a positional advantage. You paid up for it, and you got bit by it. And that happened a few years ago with him. Yeah. He was, I forget what years it was. He was like hands down the tight end one coming in. And it was after his 2020 I
want to say it was the COVID season, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't totally remember now, but like, he was like hands down like the tight end one. And it was just like, people were taking him like 5th, 6th overall. And it was like, nah, dude, like it's not repeatable, right? And so like that's kind of what I'm saying about Sam LaPorta. Like he wasn't like far and away the tight end one last year, but you be careful. You're paying up for 10 touchdowns and stuff like that. And so like if he doesn't repeat that, I mean, you're looking at 86 targets for 889 yards. A lot of other dudes that did that exact same thing.
For sure.
So be careful with paying up for tight ends.
Absolutely, Joe. I agree 100%. Well, Joe, this was a ton of fun doing all of these rankings preview shows. If you haven't already, make sure to go check the quarterback, running back, and wide receiver ones as well. If you guys haven't yet, please smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. And go ahead to fantasy6pack.net/plans and check out our plans, and make sure to hit up that 2-week free trial. So, but Joe, I'm good if you're good.
Thank you everybody for listening, and got you next time.
Yep. See you guys.